TypeScript, that won't be an issue because you're using let, and let is more like a C#. It doesn't work like C. So here are different ways you can actually go and define numbers, booleans, and a lot of other things. So you have this, and you can say 4.56, whatever. Let hex equals number. So good thing now is in order to do hex, you start with 0x, and then you put the actual number. So this doesn't really create a problem. So for example, the number is hexadecimal number. All you have to do is say start 0x. And then you have binary. So even though it's of type number, I'm going to say 0b, and that makes it a binary number now. And binary number could be anything. And then you have let octal, which is an octal number. What are you going to do in this case? 0, very simple. And let's just say an octal number 744. So now you can do a lot of these kind of things in TypeScript. Now, and if you try to do something wrong here, so for example, is valid, and you because to try to do this, hello, that won't work. It already told you that there is an error here. Now in JavaScript, you could have made it work. You want to try this? So for example, if I go back to JavaScript, I can come in here and say var x equals false. In the next line, I can go and say x equals to hello. It doesn't really have any type check whatsoever. So that's another advantage with TypeScript, that it will give you the type check right here. So the moment you say is valid is false, is hello, it will start complaining. So you see it's already complaining. This type string is not assignable. So these are the easier things. They are very easy to understand and everything. Now you have tuples, which is, let's say I'm going to say string and number. I could have made it on my own type or anything simple. So it will now only take a string and a number. So for example, this is valid. So this doesn't complain. So what happens if I have x0 dot substring? I could actually do this, and I will get a result because it's a string. And then I can have x1, and since it's an integer, it should not really do substring. So let's try a substring of 3. It already gave me an error. So these are some of the benefits. Now, this only can take a string, and it can only take an integer, right? So let's try to do this. Let's say x2 is my last name. I can do that. That's not a problem because it's a string. And let's say I go x3 equals true. Now that won't work. The reason it won't work, as you can see, there's a red line over there, is because I don't allow a boolean inside the tuple. So that's another thing you can use. You can use a tuple where you can come up with your own types. You can even call this product, customer, or anything else you like. Now you must be thinking, why did x2 work? Well, that is not a problem because that's just an array. And we can add anything because arrays are dynamic in JavaScript. So we can add any of that. But only legal operations are the ones that are in front of you. Others are already deleted. Now if you like enums, you also have enums in TypeScript. So you could do Tuesday, and maybe all you want is Monday, Tuesday, and Sunday. You know, that way you have a free holiday every 3 days. If you like that kind of enum, go for it. And you can say Monday is weekdays is equals weekdays Monday. So that's something you could do. You can also say let day is your string, and this is equal weekdays of 2. So this way, what value are you going to get? If you print this value, you're going to get Sunday because 0, 1, and 2. So enums are pretty good. This is a good one. I'm going to ask you a question on this one, okay? So pay attention. You want me to delete the rest of it? Let's just go delete the rest of it. Let list equals, let's say, iOS, Android, Windows. So what I could do now with TypeScript And even with ECMAScript is I could do, I could call it anything if I want to, but really just to make it simple. I can say first, second, third equals to list. So what does that really mean? The first value will be printed as what in this case? Let's just run this. Oh wait, it's still looking for another. You gotta go fix this. So it's iOS. So you saw what happened? This is really cool. Really all I did is first, second, and third will take the first three values. Okay, so what if I only know, I don't know how many values the list has, I only care about the first value. Then I can do dot rest. And the way it works is I could come in here and say what's rest. And I can run this again, and I can get the rest of the values, Android, Windows. Because, you know, let's say the list was 100 items and only you care about the first three items. You could have taken the first three items and rest of them can stay as an array. Does that make sense? Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a question because I already gave you this. So what I'm going to do here is I want this function to pass in three values, but those values need to be called first, second, and third. And really, it's going to be a string of three values or more. It doesn't really matter. How do I do that? Hey, you know what? It's going to be hard. I'll just give it to you. I could do something like this. What I already told that, hey, the first two values are going to be string, the third one is going to be a number, and I can just go console.log first, second, and third in this case. But the benefit is I give them names that I like, okay? Because otherwise you cannot do this. Currently, if you think about JavaScript, you can only give it, you'll get the array, and that's all you're going to get. And then you're going to have to walk through the array, and then you're going to have to do this. But in this case, I can do something very simple. So that works. Any questions so far? Now, these are arrays. Can I do this with objects? Of course, I can do the same thing with objects. By the way, it says my dishwasher in the background is running. I don't know if that makes a problem for you guys. Let's just do this with objects first. All right. Should be JSON. By the way, how much time do we have left? Because I want to get into Angular 2. We started a little late. No one? What a quiet audience. Anyone there?
10 minutes is past.
How much?
1 hour.
Oh, yeah, 1 hour. Oh, don't worry about it then. Okay, so you see, tell me what's going to be the printout. What's line number 8 going to print and what's line number 9 going to print? No one? Okay, we have more difficult questions coming now. How are you going to survive if you can't answer this one?
Chander sir, you can check Q&A block also. This is someone answering over there.
Someone is answering? Where do I see this? You know, the problem is my live meeting, I cannot see the whole screen because of my resolution.
Oh, actually there is okay, someone has answered 1. Naresh.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's just fix this real quick. Q&A, okay. Oh yes, dishwasher is not creating an issue, thank you. One an iPhone, maybe undefined. Okay, so one an iPhone is the right answer. You know, so it's really hard for me to see this. But I hope it will be fine, okay. Is nothing currently shared?
No.
So it's sharing now?
Yeah, now it's shared.
Okay, great. All right, so that is correct. Very good. That's what I like. Keep answering. You know, the more you make it interactive, the easier it is for me to know how we're going. So here's the situation where I'm going to take an object, and it could be anything. Employee name, and then it's string, comma, company name. That's the name of the company. So let this be the name of the company, and here I'm gonna call this object company name. Here, let me just stop this. It's such a small resolution; it's so hard to see what I'm typing myself. All right. Can anyone tell me what this is? Anyone who understands this code?
The label.
What is it?
The label string.
The label?
The label string type means company name will be on the label.
Yeah, so it's basically a default value, which is the same as C#. This feature came out in C# long back. Okay, can anyone tell me what's the answer now? Line number 7, what is it going to print? So you can see that this is what it's printing in terms of JavaScript. You see how it does it? It actually uses a var over there, says object.employee name, and then it creates another variable, company name, and then it also says company name. If no one passes a company name, then use the default, which is caston.com. So that's how it's happening in JavaScript behind the scene. You can see this while I'm doing this. All right, so if I were to go here and I print this, what's going to happen? So you see it printed both of the things, which is pretty good. But if I were to override the company name to be this, what's going to happen? The company name will come up, right? So what this is simply nothing more than what you've been used to using in C#, which is your default values. So if I don't pass any value, this value will get passed, okay? And there's another thing you could do here, right? Which is this guy. Why is it question mark? Same as C#, nullable type. Means you can use this function with only this one particular variable or parameter. You don't have to use the other parameter. If I have to go back to another, you know how in JavaScript, you could actually do this. You can have a function. Let's say it's called product and get product. Come on. And then you can have, let's say, you know, ID, model, whatever you want to put, doesn't matter. And if I have to call this function, I could just call this function like this. I could also call this function with the ID. I could also call the function with ID, and then the model could be, let's say, a string. And I can also pass this function anything else. And that all this is perfectly valid in JavaScript, by the way. Do you know this? Even though the function says only two particular parameters, I can go and pass in 4 parameters, or I can pass in no parameter. I can pass in 1, I can pass 4, and 2 doesn't matter at all. But in C#, what would happen? If you pass this, you're good, but since this is nullable type, you don't need to pass this. Same way in TypeScript, you're getting the value of C#. Now you know exactly someone calling the function will only do this, nothing else. So that's kind of very, very neat. Is everyone clear on this one? Nice. So another thing I'm going to show you is going to be type. So like C#, and you can see that JavaScript below is changing according to what I type. You can now create your own type. So this is more like an interface, but there's a better way to do interfaces. I'm just going to show you this, just so you know that this is possible. And then you have bill rate, and let's say this is also a number. That's it. So I created a type, which is employee type, and then I said, okay, function, get pay. When you get pay, or calculate pay, I'm going to say is full-time, comma salary, comma bill rate. So if the guy works for me full-time, then I'm going to pay him salary. If he is not full-time, then he's what? He's a contractor. If he's a contractor, then I'm going to pay him his hourly rate. So I could do something like this, console.log is full-time. And then I can go and say salary. And then I can say bill rate. Now, how do I call this function? Now, keep in mind, what's the type of this function? It's employee type. This is the employee type, right? So as long as I have the right employee type, I'm pretty good. Now, what does employee type say? Salary is nullable, and bill rate is nullable. So I don't have to always pass in all of them. I can only pass in this, and the function will work. But it makes sense to pass this and another one of the two. So what I'm going to do is get pay. Everyone likes that pay. And say is full-time is true. So if the person is full-time, then he's going to have a salary. And that salary could be, let's say, $100,000. And then I have, let's say, full-time false. In that case, I'm going to have to pass in the bill rate. And the bill rate could be, let's say, $60 an hour. So you see this? This is the benefit of type. It's telling you the type of your function is this guy. And we can change this. We can also make this an interface. I'll just show you how to run it. You can say we got true. When it is true, then the salary is this and the other guy is undefined, right? And when it's false, salary is undefined and the bill rate is $60 an hour. So that's how it works. Now, what about union types? Can you do union types? Of course, you can do union types also now in TypeScript. So you have union types, you say value is number, or you have a number array. You can have anything. What if that's someone? So currently in JavaScript, you can pass anything in a function. So if you had to put this thing in JavaScript, all you would have to do is write this. And you're good to go. All you have to do is say value, and then you would have checked if value is a number or if it's not a number, right? But in TypeScript, we don't allow that. In TypeScript, we want to pass in the type that we give. So if we don't know it's going to be a number or it's going to be a number array, we could technically ask it to use a pipe operator, which means union. So it's saying either the type is going to be number or it's going to be a number array, which is more like an integer array, if you don't know what a number is. Now you have type of value and then equals number. If it does equal number, then return value or whatever. It could be that logic. Otherwise, you probably want to return more like a sum of this thing. And then I could say, okay, I've got value, since it's number array, dot for each. So it's smart enough to understand that it could be of type array in this case. So it's going to give you IntelliSense also for everything. So sum equals sum plus element. Notice I'm using let everywhere just to make sure I don't have any problems that exist because of var. Done, right? So this is my function, just to show you this function. Alright, it's probably big. Maybe we should make the code smaller. Is the code big or you want it to be smaller? Is this any better? So now you can see both of these. So in JavaScript, all you had was value. And you have if type value equals to number, then return value. Otherwise, take the sum valued of for each. You see exactly how we did it. Pretty much very similar, except here they only had value. In our case, we had to specify both the types right here. Are you bored with TypeScript? You want to go to Angular or you want to continue TypeScript? No response? Did someone say something? I can hear you really low though. Someone said something, but I can't hear it. So your voice. Can you speak again?
So after this is off, then we can go to Angular.
Okay, after TypeScript we can go to Angular. Sounds good. That's pretty fair. All right, so here's an interface iProduct, and I'm going to say I have an interface that has a nullable ID of type number, and then I have a name which is of type string. Very similar to your C# interface. And then I have a function get name or product name. I'm going to say it's of type product. And remember we used the type earlier. Now we can use an interface also. You don't have to literally create a type. You can just use an interface. Return product dot name. So when you do get name, you can do this, right? So here's your interface, and you were able to tell the function, I'm going to pass in nothing more than this interface. That's it. So what do we do? Can we use this product in a class? Of course. So we can do class product implements iProduct. So when I do that, I have to get these particular properties like this. Class member, oh yeah, in this case it won't really matter. Or I could even do this, right? So one way is to implement iProduct, which I can do it this way, right? So this is one way, and this works. And then I can have a constructor that does anything with it. This is one way to do it. And this is called inheritance. Now, what's the other way to do it? And plus keyword. This the string, which is this guy. So what do I do in this case? I'm going to go console.log, and I'm going to go back here, close this, and I will still get the same exact logic result. That's it. So I get console.log, good to go. Is everyone clear so far? Here's another example. You could do let divide, numerator is what? Number. And then denominator is another number. And it also returns a number, because we're trying to do division here. Now this could technically be a function. And I could say numerator, comma, denominator. And inside the function, I'm going to say return numerator by denominator. Very simple mathematics. Now, this is not good logic. What are you going to do? What's the better logic here? Anyone? Literally, what you're going to do is if denominator is 0, well, then return 0. Otherwise, do what I'm talking about. This is good logic, okay? Now this is your lambda, and the lambda says I have two numbers and return a number, right? Which is what this function is. It takes two numbers and then returns a function. But what a better way to do this could also be interface I divide and just take this particular guy as it is. So now I've got a lambda inside an interface. So I divide is that particular interface. So I could say something like divide equals function, or just say numerator. In this case, it's going to be number, and then you have denominator. In this case, it's going to be number. Same exact thing, right? And what is divide in this case? We can just say let divide is I divide. Am I using divide two places? Okay, let's just go remove all of this because we don't need this anymore. So whatever I did earlier, I could do it this way too. Is everyone clear with this? Yeah, it's complaining because I haven't finished this thing. So return numerator slash denominator, done. It should work. So here's the benefit of TypeScript, right? So even if I'm doing some kind of demo here, it tells me I haven't finished the coding. So for example, you were coding in the middle of it, you left, you come back and you realize that, oh, I did not finish coding that particular method. Now, this is just to show you that these two things can do it different ways. One is where we actually had that particular lambda. In another case, we had an interface. Simple. There's really nothing different here. The interface, all it does is has one particular property here. Exactly the same thing. Syntactical sugar, nothing else. Can we do more things with it? You want to implement a class or something, or you want to go to Angular now? Yeah, about half an hour left. Anyone? You want to see how to implement a class? Is everyone already sleeping?
I think we should go for Angular now.
Okay, good. Someone just messaged. You want to see a class? Okay, good. All right, let's show you a class. So let's say I'm an interface, I book. Book has a title, book has a cost. And cost could be number. I create my interface, then I'm going to class audiobook. I can have audiobook, I can have print book, whatever. We can create any amount. We'll just create a one here. Let's say my title, I'll just copy these two. These two are here, and then I have a constructor. My constructor could be the same thing, so I could just call it T or C, doesn't really matter. It's still going to be of type number. And I'm going to go this dot title equals T, this dot cost equals C. So this is my constructor. It's implementing iBook. We're good to go, right? Now what do we need? Maybe something like get price. And what would get price be? Get price will be of type number because I want it to return the actual number. So we could do return this dot book cost or whatever that was plus shipping cost plus profit. You know, and where are you getting shipping cost and profit from? You can add more things here. You can say shipping cost. Right, and then you can say profit. And how do you get these particular values? Well, maybe you create a constructor that has something like shipping cost. Okay, ship cost, it's a number, and then you also can have profit, which is a number. This should do it. Now I can come in here and say this dot shipping cost plus this dot profit. Okay, so that's the total cost of the book. Done. And I can run this if you want me to. Let's say I'm going to say let audiobook or, you know, name of the book, right? So let's just say, what's the book? Wings of Fire. New audiobook, and inside that audiobook, the first thing is really the title, Wings of Fire, and then cost of the book, 200 rupees, and then shipping cost, 20 rupees, and then profit, 50. Oh, let's just do 50. Right there, and then I'm going to say console.log, wings.fire.get price. Done. Go back here, F5. Not a number. Very good. Okay, why is that? Let's just try it. What's happening here? This dot cost. So we did not do this. This dot shipping cost equals to ship cost. This dot profit equals profit. 270 rupees. Done. So you can buy the book for 270 rupees. Don't quote me on that. So very simple, right? We got an interface, then we have a class that implements that interface, then we have our constructor properties here, and we do a function get price. We initialize that class, and now we get this thing back. So this works too. Real quick, just wanted to show you something here. If you do not want to write all this code, you could literally get rid of all this. I get rid of all of this, and I'm going to get rid of all of this. Okay, so the best way to do this is say public audiobook is missing property, title, and cost. Okay. So now everything will work. This is saying ship cost. You saw such a simple technique, and I reduced my lines of code quite a bit. But did you see that? All I had to do was add public here. I could have added protected, private, doesn't matter, but automatically those properties are gone, and it takes care of that for me. Do you think it's going to work? It definitely will work. Still get 270. How did that happen? So really, this is a shortcut. Now, this particular line is a shortcut for 2 lines, and those lines are simple. If I take this, and then I do this dot title equals to title, I will have to remove public. If I remove public, then I have to write line number 7, I have to write line number 10. But in order to do all of this, like 7 and 10, together, I just remove these 2 lines, and all I do is add the public keyword right in front of here. Just less lines of code doing everything for you, and everything still works. Is everyone with me here? So classes are done. Another thing I want to show you real quick is we had to create audiobook. But what if we didn't have shipped cost and profit? We don't want to go through the entire constructor and do this whole thing and then go to, something like get price or whatever. What if we don't really need any of that? Well, in that case, what you could do is something very simple, like let's say let audiobook, and I could say something like iBook. And in this case, I'm going to go iBook of this. Done. So now I could do audiobook, and you can see that title and cost will appear. You see that? Technically, you didn't have to create a new class or do anything. All you're doing is using generics. Now, what about generics? TypeScript uses generics, right? So what all kind of generics TypeScript can use? Well, you can go say class product. You can have a constructor. And you can actually go and say, I have public and list is really nothing but an array of strings. So that's a kind of a generic you can use. You can create a generic class and you can use that too, but you are now using generics inside TypeScript. Now that's a lot of TypeScript because we don't have a lot of time for Angular. Let's get into Angular fast. So I went to Angular's website and I got the Angular boilerplate. The boilerplate doesn't have a lot of stuff. I'll show you real quick. So the boilerplate has the shims and it has system.js. So shims is really these are kind of polyfills that are really making your Angular work with older browsers and things like that. And then you have system.js, which is a module loader, which makes sure that your entire modules are loaded and then, gives to the browser what the browser really wants. And here's your app, my app. My app is where your app is going to go, and we're going to define it somewhere else. And then you have base href. This is Angular requires this for routing. Currently, we're not really using any routing. If you go to system.js, it tells you there's npm, which is under npm modules. Now, we don't see npm modules there. The reason we don't see npm modules is because we haven't brought them down yet. So I go to my terminal and say npm install. Now, this takes some time. npm modules will show up right here in directory, folder. It also tells you where is your app. Your app, it says in your app folder. Where's the app folder? App folder is right here. So inside app folder, you have app component and app module. And then what it does is says npm. Now what is npm :? Remember, it's node modules. So basically it's saying Angular core is going to be in directory node modules / @Angular / core / bundles / core.umd.js. It's really shortcuts. And then the next thing is, it is going to invoke main.js, which really is going to come out of main.ts, which is where everything is happening. Now, right now you see everything red. Why? Because we don't have modules. It takes forever to get these modules sometimes. And that's okay. That's happening in the background, right? And then this is converting TypeScript to JavaScript. I already told it to do that. Go back to Angular. Go back to system.js. That's it. It's running that whole thing. So this is it. That's all system.js does. Okay, great. So we have some kind of error here, which I'm not going to worry about for a second. Let's see where the node modules are. I don't see node modules yet. Do you see node modules? Anyways, this was something I downloaded from Angular website. If it doesn't work, doesn't matter. We'll just show you something else that will actually work. For some reason, it didn't work. Let's use what I have. What I have is available free online, so you can always choose it. All right, so we've got this. Let's try to run this. npm start. So very good. This is working. So here's a simple application where I'm going to add something and see if it works. Surface product, and it works. So you see that I was able to add another product, and it keeps adding the list keeps growing. So this is a simple application we built in AngularJS. Very simple, there's not much here. First thing, if you have to make it work, how do you make it work? Go to github.com/ I think it is this one. Well, so there are some free repositories here. And there's a lot of ones that are actually not free. So there's Angular boilerplate. That's all you need to do. Get this down and everything works. So this is more like the boilerplate. So how is the boilerplate working? You go to main. This is like a public static void main in your C# code. It will always be the same exact way. So don't worry about this. Then you have module.ts that takes app component, which is really this guy. Inside your app component, you say there's a selector main view. Main view is an index. Main view is here. So if you see loading, that means Angular is not working. But if you don't see loading, that means Angular has taken over. And then what it says is in main view, what are you going to do? You're going to put this particular HTML. Okay, and how do you go to this particular HTML? Well, this is the HTML that's going to go in your main view. So what's happening here? The first thing is simple. It's an h2 tag that says hello from Angular app that you can see. All right, we didn't run it. Let's run this again. I'm going to do npm start. It automatically will run everything for me. So here's my app is running, right? So I'm going to go ahead and change and say hello from Angular app. I'm going to change this to hello from. When I hit save, you'll see automatically it changed here to my name now, right? So this is the benefit you're getting because you're getting to work at the same time, right? So if I do something that actually breaks the code, it will actually break the code. Now this will work because it didn't really break the code. Technically, I should have checked for length, but let's say I change this to product. No problem, right? This will break because there is no list here. So this is very awesome because very quickly you can start coding and you have no issues whatsoever. Now what's message? Now message is coming from app component.ts, which is right here. Show you the code in a second. Any public property can be present over there. So for example, here you have this products. Actually, there is no message, right? All right, very good. Let's just go ahead and message here. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this message. Message is a string, and we're going to make it public. And the message is going to be Mumbai Techie Group rocks. We just hope that this shows up. It automatically, I saved it. You try to connect, there's probably an error. All right, very good. So we know that there's an error. No provider for string. Because we never actually called that particular guy. We don't need this. Very simple, it should work. All right, Mumbai Techie Group rocks. Now, how did that happen? Technically, TypeScript, the way it works is it has this thing in memory. So in memory, I gave it the value, which is Mumbai Techie Group rocks, and this is in a public property, which is message. I can go to my HTML and put that property anywhere. As long as I'm using 2 curly braces, it will automatically render. And what's happening next? Next, what's happening is there's display products. Okay. And then it's saying if, so whenever you see a *ng if, that means Angular if. If products has some length, which is greater than 0, in that case, what you do is you do a for loop. And when you do this for loop, you have *ng for. You're going to take P and push every product right here. So go back. I have to look at products. I have few products. I have 3 products. So what happens if I actually remove all these products completely? It will reload and you'll see there is no product here. There's not a single product here. It will only show when there is more than 1 product. So first product, it will show up, right? If I do second, it will show up. Does that make sense? Previously, it was showing up because we already had values for it. So it comes with 3 values. So it's going to re-render again. It's going to show you those 3 values. Then I can add the 4th product. And then I can add the 5th product. Right? So that's simple. Now, how is that happening? Well, if you go back to your HTML, you can see here, there are a few things we're doing here. So first is the input. Inside your input, you have type equals to text, which is this particular text box. So if you look at this guy, this is the text box we're talking about. Okay? So this is the text box. It says input type equals to text. Whenever it blurs, then call the onProductBlur method and pass certain values to it. And the other thing is, whenever you click the button, at that time you add the product. That's all that's happening. So let's just check. There's the function we need to look for is add product. Very simple. When the add product happens, all it's doing is taking this product and add the value to that product. So when I was up saying 4th, that value was getting added here. And then there is onProductBlur. Okay. So you got value string, you got event any. Okay. So in this case, what's happening? We're taking the new value and then we take the event name. And after some time, this particular new value will actually get removed. That's all that's happening. So let's try this. You can see that blur is where the problem is. Because it's like remove doesn't really exist or something. But for now, we're not going to worry about that because this is a very simple application. Let's do something more on it. All right, let's do this. So what are we going to do? I want to talk about Angular a little bit in theory because Angular is very, very complicated. And if you don't understand, now keep in mind, today you're not going to become Angular geniuses, right? We have 15 minutes left. I can go over the theory a little bit, but there's a lot of work required. That's what I was talking about the workshop. If you actually come to that workshop, you can become pros. And that's one way of beating your competition very quickly. So MVP Mix, Bengaluru, join us there for one day. You get to code with us, and you'll become a pro in Angular, as well as ASP.NET Core and TypeScript. So I'm going to go fast on some of these concepts. All right, let's just go back. So this is the architecture of Angular, and that's why it gets a little tricky because there's a lot of things involved. So what you saw in component is where component is. App component is the component. And then you have a template, which you also saw, which was your HTML files. Component is really your memory, and template is literally your DOM. And those are the only 2 things you need to be worried about. Service and all are other concepts, and they're very simple. They're just services, and they're really classes more than anything else. Just another file, you know. So here's your property binding. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then you have event binding. What does that really mean? Anytime you go from the memory to DOM, you're going to need property binding. Anytime you go from your DOM to memory, you're going to need event binding. And what's memory? Memory is your TypeScript. So anytime you go from TypeScript to HTML, you're going to use property binding. And anytime you go from HTML to TypeScript, you're going to need event binding. Let me show you in code because that'll make more sense. So when you are here, you could see that in order for me to go from DOM to TypeScript, I'm going to use event binding. And what's event binding mean? There's an event, click event. On blur. Blur is also an event. So when you do this, which is parentheses around your event, you're technically going to go and say, okay, add product. Now, what does add product mean? Well, you go to add product. Oh, that's JavaScript. Where did it go? Add product is here. So what did we do? We pressed add product on template, and we now came to add product on where? Technically, we came to add product in TypeScript, right? From here, we need to go back to DOM. What did we do? We did something like this. So when we do this, we can go to the DOM, and all we did is property binding. That's it. So these are the 2 ways things go back and forth, and they're very simple. Simple? All right, let's show you something more complicated. Here's another example. And let's see if we can run this. All right, very good. So this is working. So the way it runs is it's got about 100 different values. And where are these values coming from? These values are coming from here. You can see that these are the same exact values. They're about 100 values, and they're going to be present in my demo too. So if I go and click on one of these, you can see I can change these values. You see that? Grid number 94 is now changed. You see like grid number 97 is now changed. So what happened? Literally all I did is take the grid and change everything. Right? The values got changed right there. So this is happening because of two-way data binding. So I got the entire grid from outside. This is coming from API, right? So this is where it's coming from. And then I have everything here, and when I have everything here, I can change the value. So this is called two-way data binding. By the way, good news is that if you go to mvpmix.com/Mumbai, you can register for the Mumbai workshop. I don't know where the registration page is though. Oh, right here. So you can register now. So this is for Mumbai Tech Workshop. By the way, this workshop is about $2,000 in the United States. For India only, we're doing it cheap because we don't want to make money here. And then you can sign up. We don't have a lot of seats here, so you want to sign up as soon as possible. We'll be doing this with Ship Prasad Koirala. Okay, great. So going back, again, this is the website, mvpmix.com. And then you can go to Mumbai from here. So Mumbai, Bangalore. So how did we do this particular thing? Let's talk about this real quick. So here's a service. In my service, I have a class which is product. I could have made this an interface too. It doesn't really matter. Well, once you have this product, all I need to do is take a constructor and bring in HTTP. And what's HTTP? HTTP is an HTTP library from Angular HTTP. Then I'm making a GET call to this particular link that you just saw. The link is right here. We opened it just now. Let's go there. Type code JSON placeholder and then /post. That's the link. So this is the same exact link we have right here. And the response that comes back, we convert it over to product array. And then we have JSON.stringify data. This is just to tell me what the data looks like. Because when I'm debugging, I want to see that data. So if I come back here and I go to inspect, I can go to my console. You can see that entire data is right here. This is helpful for debugging purposes. Right? That's all it is, a get products, and it returns an observable product. What's an observable? We have about 2 hours in the workshop. We're going to talk about observable. It's a very interesting concept, and everyone gets it wrong. It's not very easy to understand if I talk about it just now. But currently, think of observable as a way to get data from the API and then map it to something we understand. In this case, it's product array. Now, we have all of this, but we need something to subscribe to it. So if I were to go back and see what I used there, I used the service right here. I said product service right here and say get products, and then I have to use subscribe. In subscribes, I have to get products, this dot products equals to products, and then I have error message done. Simple. So this gets me all the data here. Okay. Then how does this data binding work? Well, the way the data binding works is when I click this cell or row, it basically triggers onSelect function and says this is the selected product. And where is that? Here's my UI, and the UI is very simple. I've got ID, I've got a title, I've got body. Let P of products click equals to not on select. Whenever you select something, it will trigger that on select function, but otherwise it will show all the values here. Now you want to see the values in a different way, I'll show you that real quick. Once this is selected, then you take the selected product and this is where you apply the two-way data binding. Now you want to see this in a simpler way, I'll show you that real quick. Now we didn't have to get everything going from that particular website whatsoever. We could have done it in a smaller way, simpler way also, just to show something that actually goes on this particular function. So for example, here I could have just removed this. And product array. So what does a product look like? ID, title, body. Okay. ID is a number, title is a string. Okay, that should work. Type ID is not a new product. Okay, let's just do that then. Yeah, this will take longer. That's fine. It needs a constructor now. So you see, just to make it simple for you guys, I could have changed this very simply. So otherwise, I know you were looking at this and going, well, that looks like a lot of work, right? This is it. All I did is change this to something easier for you to understand. Otherwise, it's the same exact thing. We had 100 records. Now we have less than that. That's it, right? So this is how it works. And if I were to go back and show you, previously all we had was this particular method, which was getting everything from this service, which was actually getting everything from this particular link. Otherwise, it's a very simple app. Okay, we have 3 minutes if you want to ask any questions. There's a lot to be covered here, but I don't want to get into all the details. But yeah, see you at MVP Mix Mumbai or Bangalore. Bangalore is bigger. Bangalore has 1 free day of sessions. Mumbai is only workshop, so it's up to you what you want to do. But it's worth coming in. Questions? I really want to thank you guys because it's Friday, Saturday night and you were here. That's pretty awesome. But otherwise, it was fun. It's really boring when you're doing the live meeting presentations because a lot of people don't talk on the other side, but I understand why they don't do that. See, question and answer. There's someone who said something. It says 1, but it doesn't really clear. Can we use debugger in one example? Yeah, it's a little too late. I mean, it should be very easy. It's simple TypeScript debugging. And WebStorm comes with the debugger automatically, but yeah. Any other question? 2 minutes.
Guys, any questions?
Hello. Hello. Good evening. Hello.
Yeah, JK. Go ahead.
What is the difference between the upcoming updates in the Angular and the TypeScript? What we are required to work on in futuristic technology like this?
How is the NG4 different than NG2? It's actually very similar on the tooling side. In fact, really NG2 was released, but the tooling was not mature. NG4 is about tooling getting mature. For example, CLI is now 1.0.0. It's a stable release. It was previously beta, and then it was 0.9 or whatever, but it wasn't really ever released. APIs, they've tried to make it very, very similar. They're definitely not, they're not fully breaking. They're very less breaking changes, right? So Angular 1 to Angular 2 was a big change. Angular 2 to 4 is a very simple change. So there's still going to be some breaking changes, but not much. Overall, it's very similar. But the tooling is very, very reliable now. 1 minute. Anyone else?
Any prerequisites for the TypeScript?
Why don't you guys open your mic and say hello?
Hello.
Please don't know that these were not bots and
Chander?
real humans in my talk.
Chander sir? I think you're unable to
You
hear
guys
us.
can add me on Facebook. I know. I'm going to take a screenshot of your names here. Oh, there's a person called Emma here. How's that? That doesn't sound like an Indian name. Just took a screenshot of it. So I think. No, I think I already cleared these two. Sounds good. All right, everyone. Have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chander sir. Okay, thank you everyone for joining here. And I hope it was fruitful to all of you.
Yeah, I think I'm unable to hear you then. Naresh, Sony, good night. Pradeep, good night.
Yeah, good night.
I don't know why. Oh, yeah, the speaker is muted. Okay, can you speak now? Because I just unmuted my speakers.
JK, you can ask a question.
Oh, awesome.
And what are the prerequisites for the TypeScript?
What is what?
Prerequest for the TypeScript or the for upcoming session we have to
There is no, if you are coming for the workshop, there is no prerequisite. We will train you from scratch.
Okay.
Yeah, beginner level people can come into the workshop. It's all day. You're going to get to work with us. We will help you work with us. So we will code and we will make sure that you are able to make it code on your laptop.
Okay.
Yeah, complete hands-on all day. You work with us.
Any reference book or a link apart from the or your blog, something like that?
You know, good developers never blog, and good developers never write books. Max they can do is workshops, and they can write code. So if you follow bloggers, the problem is they're not really good developers. They're just bloggers. And that's where the difference is. You'll see all the top actual developers will never blog. They don't have time to blog. Even my website, you'll see blogs that are written by my employees and not written by me. So I don't think there's very good blogs out there, but you should try to go to TypeScriptLang.org, which is the only place you can get some good TypeScript documentation. They don't do everything. Like in our workshop, we'll teach you certain things that are not on TypeScriptLang.org at all, but they are important for work.
Okay. And many JavaScript frameworks are coming simultaneously. So what will be the next future of the TypeScript or the Angular 2 or a 4 which are...
Yeah, TypeScript will not go away. Angular also will not go away. You are better off going Angular, which is now called, so Angular 2 and 4 are still called Angular. They're not called 2 and 4, right? You are better off going with Angular. It's not going away at all, and it has the most enterprise people on it. The jobs are more on Angular. Number 2 is React. And outside that, anything else is just a waste right now. TypeScript will not go anywhere. TypeScript is the number one thing, right? So go on TypeScript. That's the first thing. Angular 4 or Angular basically, right? Even if it goes to 5, December they're going to come with 5. I remember, sorry. So it doesn't matter. The changes are not going to be drastic. The change is already gone. From Angular 1 to Angular 2, that change came in. That is already gone. ASP.NET Core will not go anywhere. Entity Framework will not go anywhere. These are good things to stick with. The future is awesome, at least for the next few years.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and don't spend a lot of time with other frameworks. They're just too much work, and they don't really get you much. And then a lot of small guys will create these and get a job, and they'll forget those frameworks. You want to stick with something long term that's good for your career.
Yeah, basically the companies are sticking for the long term, and still they are not adapted to the Angular 1. Right now they are in a dilemma. Angular 2 and Angular 4 are on the way. So that's my query.
So you should follow US. All the companies will follow what US is going to do.
Right.
In US, we have moved our clients to Angular 4 already. All of our clients have moved to Angular 4. So this is what's going to happen eventually, because Angular 1 is deprecated and it does not, it will not be supported anymore. It has been deprecated for almost a year now, less than a year, but pretty much. So they will have to move. There is no way around it.
And finance and the banking sector still are untouched to these languages.
No, that's not completely true, because we have one of the banks that we have moved to Angular 4 already.
Okay.
But you're right, they're usually slow.
They work on the legacy products still.
Yes, and that's okay, right? I mean, if you have to support IE9 or something, you're going to still stick with Angular JS, even if you support. So IE9 is not a problem, IE8 is a problem. There are people still on IE8, so that is going to be a little bit of time before it moves to Angular.
Yeah, because the global still shows that 28 to 29% are using IE8 due to the some previous.
Yeah, as enterprise is really there, no one else actually.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another meeting to go to, but hopefully see you at the workshop. What's
Thank you,
your name?
Chander sir, for taking your time and giving us
This
the
is
session.
Chander Karira.
The person who was asking questions, what's his name?
Jitendra Karira.
Chander. Okay. Well, nice meeting you, and thank you,
Same here. Same here.
everyone.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Have a
for
great
doing
weekend.
this.
Bye everyone.
All right, you have a good weekend. Take care.
All the best.
Bye. Thanks. Bye bye.